Hello, I'm Reidly Scott, world-famous Scottish director whose films have been seen all the way from Arbroath to Aberfeldy. Hello, today I am going to talk to you about film and camera techniques. While not everybody has available £5 to buy a cine camera like this one here, it is perhaps possible that one day all people will be able to have access to their own cinematic camera in order to make their own kinds of films. In fact, they'll be so simple to use, even children and perhaps even women will be able to use these with, of course, the supervision of a responsible adult male. However, until such time as we're all able to afford the £5 to buy one of these, perhaps by not feeding one of your younger children for a few months until such time as you've saved up the requisite amount, I am going to introduce you to some of the interesting techniques you will need in order to make your own films. Firstly, let us look at different kinds of camera shot. These are shots taken by the camera without moving either the lens or the camera itself.
Let us begin with the wide shot. The wide shot is the shot that closest resembles what we see with the naked human eye. Here is an establishing shot of a school which shows us lots of detail of the landscape but little detail of individual objects. It is useful for football matches perhaps, or indeed fight scenes where you have more than one object of interest to see. Long shots are slightly different. They use a longer lens and in the case of this, have one particular focus. Here is an extreme long shot. And this is a simple long shot. We can see lots of body language, we can see the body in the background, but we cannot see the emotions of the face. Long shots are useful for showing you individuals' actions, for example a lone footballer, or in this case a dancer, dancing for your entertainment. Wonderful. Medium shots are much more personal. We can see the body language of the upper half of the body, but also now we can see facial expressions much more clearly. Here he is happy, sad, happy, sad. Close-up shots bring you much closer to the subject. Here we see little body language but lots of facial expression. Again, happy, sad, and so on. Close-up shots are usually still, but can be used to show confusion up close, for example, in a fight scene. It's a cheap special effect. Here is a big close-up. Here all we can see is the head and very little of the background, giving us a close feeling of the character's emotions. And even closer still is the extreme close-up, where all you can see is one or two features of the individual's face or of an object. Very commonly used in films like westerns.
Next, let us look at moving the camera. There are many ways to move a camera, either by keeping it still and turning it in order to follow a moving object, or by mounting it on tracks and using those to follow an object that is moving in the distance, or finally by changing the size of the lens. This allows you to bring an object in the distance to appear much closer to you.
First, we have the panning shot. Here, the camera stays in one position and swivels to follow the subject as it moves in the distance. This is slightly different from a tracking shot, where the camera is used to follow the subject. Here, the camera tracks from behind, following as if you are following him like a spy. However, sometimes the tracking shot is from the side, also known as crabbing, where you follow the subject at a distance from the side, but beware any obstacles in case you cause yourself some injury. A zoom shot is when the camera stays still, but this time you change the focal distance of the lens. What that means is you move from a wide shot and you move the lenses of the camera slightly further apart to make a small detail grow to fill the entire screen. Here, the wide shot is now becoming a long shot and will get closer until eventually it's a medium shot and perhaps even a close-up which fills the screen. Next we have the tilting shot. Here the camera pans up the body or an object to emphasize perhaps how tall, beautiful or strong that object is, and often it can build up to a nasty surprise. Pow!
Finally, let us look at camera angles. Cameras are not simply held in a horizontal direction anymore. It is possible to point the camera in an upward or downward direction, or to make it seem as if it is a person within the film itself. Here, let us find out a little bit more about camera angles.
Finally, we shall look at camera angles. First, we will look at low angle shots like this one, and high angle shots like this. The low angle shot shows you looking up to a subject who's perhaps wise and intelligent. The high angle looks down on somebody who is perhaps inferior. By contrast is the worm's eye view here and the bird's eye view here, which are much higher and lower in respect. This can show people who are extremely strong or extremely weak, perhaps someone begging for their life. These are called over-the-shoulder shots. These are used commonly in interviews or when showing people in conversation with each other. It gives you the perspective of the person speaking, but also lets you know that two people are speaking to each other. He must have said a funny joke. Finally, we have the point of view shot. Here, we create the illusion that somebody is spying on our friend here, about perhaps to kill, jump out, and murder him. Or perhaps just to jump up and say boo and make him feel very afraid.
Once more, I would like to thank you for watching my film on how to use a camera. One day, when you have saved up enough to buy yourself your own personal cine camera, you too will be able to use some of the skills you have seen today in order to make your own versions of films. Thank you, and good night. Or good day. Or good morning, depending on when you're watching my film. Goodbye. I'm Reidly Scott, world famous Scottish director. Goodbye.